Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're listening in from. I am Karl Brown. I am the Senior Director of Product Marketing here at VMware. And I'd like to spend the next several minutes going through the VMware SASE vision with you. And then, of course, there will be questions, I'm sure, from the panel here that I'll be happy to take. But let's get started with a little bit of overview about how the traditional enterprise architected their wide area network. And that was with the data center being the center of the universe, where users who were remote or users working at the branch would connect back into the data center, where there was a perimeter security-based solution that looked at the traffic, secured the traffic before it got sent to an internal application, or perhaps to some sort of SaaS or cloud-based solution. But over time, more and more cloud and SaaS-based applications became used by enterprises. And so this is what the map looks like now, with the enterprises now distributed. Users are distributed, branches have proliferated. There's more different regional offices around. In addition to physical locations, applications have become more and more distributed. The rise of SaaS, the rise of cloud, has increased the number of different traffic flows for connecting a user to a resource or data. And what this means is the data center is no longer the center of the universe. And what we need to do is to allow the users to connect more efficiently to those cloud solutions or those SaaS solutions. But in doing so, it needs to be done securely. And so while this slide and the previous one were fairly high level, what I want to do is click down into the implications that this had from a network perspective. And this is a diagram of the legacy approach to the wide area network, or VPNs, where essentially all users were homed back into the data center, which made sense when those applications were located there. And within the data center environment, you had a stack of different networking gear or security gear, from a VPN concentrator to a firewall to a router to other solutions for preventing the loss of data. And then from there, if it was going to a local application, fine, it stayed within the data center. But increasingly over time, the traffic would come into the data center, be processed, and turn around and go out over the internet, out to a SaaS application or a public cloud location. And so what needs to happen, and what some enterprises have already started doing, is to move that stack of networking security functions into the cloud. And so this is what a secure access service edge architecture would look like. It puts those networking security functions nearer the users, so more efficiently connecting those users to the cloud providers and SaaS applications, while then allowing the traffic that needs to go to the data center still go on to the data center. And so what we've done is taken hardware that's set in the data center, we've turned it into a cloud-based service, and that, in effect, is what the concept of secure access service edge is. It's about converging networking and security in the cloud, while also making provisions to deliver additional edge services in the future. But it's not about just moving functions to the cloud, it's also about unifying them from a management and orchestration perspective. So from a graphical user interface, it looks like you're managing one platform that provides networking services from SD-WAN to content distribution, security services such as CASB or URL filtering or secure web gateway services. Those are very much of interest today, but quickly following on to that, we see additional edge services coming, like edge compute or secure DNS or IP address management. But the idea with secure access service edge is to take all of these functions and make them controlled and orchestrated through a common GUI that delivers policies that can be shared by all the underlying services. And that, in effect, is the secure access service edge concept that was coined by Gartner, and that is of interest to many enterprises today. Now that you're familiar with the concept of SASE, I'd like to spend a few minutes on VMware SASE. So, as you know, VMware provides a variety of different products and services targeted at the enterprise. And so we are all about helping our customers connect to any application in any cloud from any device. And the VMware SASE solution fits into that by providing that secure and performant connectivity. We're all about, with the platform, connecting users, whether they're working from the office, working from home, or working remotely on any device. So it could be a employer-provided laptop. It could be a bring your own device. It could be a mobile. It could be a tablet. We need to provide a secure solution to connect into the cloud, the legacy data center, or to SaaS. And that means providing a wealth of networking and security services in the cloud that are context aware, so we understand where the user is, what device he's using, what he's trying to do, feed that into a policy that determines what networking and security services should be delivered for that application flow. And we need to do this without sacrificing performance or security. It's not enough to do this in one location. We have to do it in a number of locations around the world. Today, VMware has stood up over 150 points of presence worldwide between our own operations as well as those of our service provider partners. On the slide here, you can see a number of locations where VMware has stood up operations in North America, Europe, Latin America, and APJ. And we continue to invest in expanding that network, while also at the same time, we continue to invest working with our partners to expand their network to offer these cloud-delivered networking and security services, all under the brand of VMware SASE. And that is the quick overview. And so now I'm going to pause here and see what questions we have from the audience.
So my first question, I mean, I think you kind of answered it in that last slide, but you talked a little bit about these functions that used to live at the data center in this data center-centric world. And in the new world, they've been moved to the cloud, but there are still things that live in the data center. So, what is the benefit of moving, security and network applications from the data center to the cloud? Why does that location matter?
Well, so as we think about workers who are anywhere, they might be connecting to an application that's more local to them, and going through the data center adds latency. It adds possibilities for congestion, and it adds costs. It adds costs to route that traffic through the data center only to go on to its intended destination. So what we're doing by putting the networking and security in the cloud is we're offloading the traffic that doesn't need to go to the data center from going to the data center, and allowing it a more direct path from the user to that application or that resource that they're attempting to connect to. As a result of all that, we need to have different locations all around the world so that we are putting networking and security closer and closer to the users as opposed to in the data center.
So you're essentially brokering the connections globally so that you can have resources anywhere, and VMware SASE takes care of the path.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
There's a number of security vendors out here that are claiming to have a SASE platform. What would you say differentiates the VMware platform from your competitors?
So we have a lot of competitors, a lot of good competitors in this space. But what we are very proud of with our solution is, number one, we can deliver the best performance for application delivery. This has been proven time and time again with our SD-WAN offering that we've had in the marketplace for many years now. Second, we've taken an approach of integrating everything, and we will continue to integrate the different services or functions or features that we support through one management interface. So one policy can be used to define how an application should be treated based upon the user's context. That's not always the case with other solutions. There's still a mix of different GUIs or command line interface solutions, but we've been all about simplicity from the beginning with our SD-WAN solution, and we've extended our user interface to support the additional functions that we added. So that's the second thing. I think the third thing that makes us unique is our network of points of presence around the world. We have a mature cloud operations platform as a result of the SD-WAN services that we started with, and we've been upgrading those points of presence to support additional services. So in effect, we were cloud native with SD-WAN, and we're cloud native with SASE, and we are have a platform to build upon for the future, and not all the other solutions out in the marketplace are cloud native. And I think the fourth item I'd like to highlight is that we recognize that SASE is a journey. This progression from perimeter-based firewalls, legacy routers on-prem, to cloud-delivered networking and cloud-delivered security is a phased approach for many enterprises out there. And so as we did SD-WAN and as we do now with our SASE offering, we support a number of other vendor solutions. And in many cases, these other vendor solutions, we consider them to be competitors. But we support them because it's what our customers have in their network, and it's what our customers need us to do. And so it's not necessary for a customer to shut down a stack of networking gear one night and then migrate over to the full SASE solution from VMware the next day. You can start with one service from VMware, and you can build upon it as it becomes appropriate for the enterprise to make a transition to a fuller solution from VMware. So a long answer to your question, but I think a comprehensive one nonetheless.
Hi, Karl. Scott Bollinger. I had a question in regards to the orchestration of the policies. Is it a single pane where you're going out and you're looking at the DLP from like the Microsoft and you're handling everything from one single place, or is it still you're having to go into these different tools?
So if you're consuming the VMware suite of services, SASE, Secure Access Service Edge services, it's all delivered from, it's all configured, managed, provisioned from within our graphical user interface. To the extent that you are consuming services from one of our ecosystem partners, we are taking steps to actually make that easier and easier. For some of the secure web gateway vendors, we actually allow single sign-on so that you can move from our GUI into their GUI. For some, again, another example is with secure web gateway vendors, we are actually connecting our clouds to their clouds, such that we are dropping in enterprise traffic into a pre-set up tunnel that is managed by our cloud ops team and our partners' cloud ops team. So even though in this, for our enterprise customers that are in their journey to the VMware SASE offering, we're still taking steps to make it easy to manage and troubleshoot when they are connecting to third-party services. And on top of that configuration and management and troubleshooting, we have our Edge Network Intelligence solution, which actually collects performance information, not just from the VMware services that are delivered, but it also collects telemetry information, network information from other network elements that an enterprise might have, or services that the enterprise user may be connecting to. For example, Edge Network Intelligence can take in performance information from an application like Zoom and visualize how a user's Zoom performance is over a period of time, and marry that up with network traffic that for that user to help the operations team pinpoint where the source of performance issues for that particular user when connecting to Zoom.
Karl, I've got one more question before we dive into the details of this here. you talked about networking and security convergence, right, as part of this kind of SASE model. And, I reflect back, I've definitely worked with several companies where, the introduction of NSX caused quite a bit of confusion because, now does the VMware like server admin folks run the network, or do the network folks get into vSphere? And I see the same thing potentially unfolding with the network and security convergence. Do you see that most enterprises are well equipped to converge network and security teams? I mean, aren't those usually separate teams, separate budgets, separate risk profiles? How does that play out, or is there a cultural aspect to adopting SASE?
So you're absolutely right. In some large enterprises, the network team is still very separate from the security team. As you get into smaller enterprises, there's more collaboration. And so that's something that we, that'll take time to evolve. But the good news is for those customers that still operate networking and security separately, we've taken the measures to ensure that through role-based access control, that the networking team has their span of control that's separate from the security team's span of control. And we'll hear more about that probably as we get into the next section. But of course, if you're an enterprise where the networking team and the security team are one team, we can obviously do that through a policy that is shared or that's open to that particular persona to manage. Thanks, team, for all the great questions. Enjoyed the opportunity to share with you the high level, our vision, but of course, many out there want to understand the details. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Amar Akhtar to help with that part of the conversation.